Hi, friends. I wanted to do something special for you, my incredible subscribers, as a thank you. So, for the first time ever, you can be part of an exclusive live murder, mystery, and makeup episode. Oh, yes. I'm doing it live, baby. So you'll get to see the whole thing created from the foundation up. You see what I did there? Foundation. You can engage with me along the way, and there's also going to be some special surprises. Plus, you'll be able to interact with each other and with me live, like never before. And on top of all that, you can get your hands on some limited edition merch. There's also going to be a VIP after party experience I'm calling Murder Mystery Makeup Post-Mortem, where you can like hang out with me afterwards. We can have some chit chat, some talks, some questions, secrets will be told. It'll be a good time. This is a one night only event you don't want to miss, and it cannot be seen anywhere else but Moment by Patreon. I'm serious, like it won't be posted on YouTube or anything, So you're probably wondering when? Well, it's happening October 15th, 2024, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Pacific. Tickets are on sale right now at moment.co/MMM. It's gonna be so much fun, and honestly, I'm a little nervous because it's live, but it's gonna be fun. But I really hope to see you there. Tickets are on sale right now at moment.co/MMM. Again, that's moment.co/MMM. And now let's get into today's episode of Murder, Mystery, and Makeup. Hi friends, how are you today? My name is Bailey Sarian, and today is Monday, which means it's Murder, Mystery, and Makeup Monday. Hi. If you're new here, hi, my name is Bailey Sarian, and on Mondays I sit down and I talk about a true crime story that's been heavy on my noggin, and I do my makeup at the same time. If you're interested in true crime and you like makeup, I would say subscribe because I'm here for you on Mondays. Do you like my new background? Let me know down below. If you don't, that's okay too, because I love it. I thought going into Halloween and whatnot, I'd kind of go back to what I used to do. My candles. Slowly add them in. Also, before we jump into today's story, do you remember the episode I did, Murder Mystery Makeup, about Wade Wilson? I have an update with Wade Wilson, the Deadpool killer. So as I left off in that episode, he was awaiting sentencing. But if you've been following it, then you saw that, he got his sentencing. And Wade Wilson, the guy in Florida, has been sentenced to death. Now, did we see that coming? Yes, we did. Are you surprised? No, we're not. So he will be spending the rest of his life in, let me look at my paper. Oh, just Florida. Just Florida. He's going to be in Florida in one of the prisons down there, for the rest of his life until he gets put down. So good luck to him, huh? And all those dumb ladies who keep sending their little love letters to him, do better. You deserve better, you are better, and you can get better. So stop throwing yourself at this disgusting troll. Oh, God, how embarrassing for you. Okay, so today's story. Interesting. If you're ever curious to know what I'm using, I'll list it down below. Usually when I go into this, I don't know what I'm doing, so that's kind of how I'm feeling right now. Good luck to me is, I guess, what I'm saying. I had a lot of caffeine. I was like, ugh. So today we are diving deep into a story that has like all the elements of a Shakespearean tragedy. Oh, yes. A world-famous athlete, a beautiful model, a brutal crime, and a courtroom drama that really captivated the world. Today I'm going to be talking about Oscar Pistorius, the man who went from being a celebrated sports hero to a convicted murderer. Oscar's story isn't just about like one night of violence. It's a tale of triumph, fame, and a fall from grace that really shocked everyone. So let's start at the beginning. Right? We always do, with the birth of a baby boy who would go on to be known as the Blade Runner. Oscar Pistorius was born November 22nd, 1986 in Johannesburg, South Africa. His family wasn't the wealthiest by any means, but they were comfortable when he was growing up. Like the family lived a decent middle-class life. So when Oscar was born, I guess it was clear from like the start that his life would be anything but ordinary. He was born with a congenital birth defect known as fibular hemimelia. Try not to laugh, but if only you knew how long I've been sitting here trying to get that word out of me. So basically what I'm trying to say is he was born without the fibula in both of his legs. Now the fibula is kind of important. It's like one of the two long bones in your lower leg. Now it's a crucial bone because it supports the larger tibia. And without it, walking can be a severe challenge. Now this condition, fibular hemimelia, I guess it's pretty rare. And it happens early in pregnancy between like the 6th and the 8th week when the limb buds are forming. Now the exact cause, I guess, is it's still a mystery. It's possible that it has something to do with the activation of the genes responsible for forming the baby's legs, but they don't really know. No one really knows. For some, the condition is mild, affecting just like one limb, and it can be corrected with surgery. But in Oscar's case, the deformity was pretty severe. So I guess his feet were also malformed. He had just like 2 toes on each foot, like the big, oh no, Bailey, no. Well, he had the big toe and the index. Oh, I creased it right off the bat. I guess we're doing a big line. We're doing a big liner. F it. That's the only way. What a rookie mistake. So upon the doctor's recommendation, the parents, they had to make a tough decision, and they decided to just have Oscar's legs amputated from like halfway between the knee and the ankle at just 11 months old. The doctor just assured it was going to be like the best option for him. So Oscar was fitted with prosthetics before he turned 2 years old. And then by 17 months, he was walking. I'm nervous about doing this other eye. But Oscar's life wasn't all like hardships and challenges. Like things were good. He came from a loving family. His parents, they ended up getting divorced when he was like 7 years old. And divorce can be like really tough on kids. But for Oscar, I don't want to say it wasn't bad, because I'm sure it hurt in some way, but like he was lucky that both of his parents remained actively involved in his life. I know, shocker. I was like, wow, rare in these stories, huh? So Oscar would mainly live with his mother, and his mom was said to be like strong, supportive. She also made sure that he maintained a relationship with his father. There were like no strict rules about visitation with Daddy, and all of the kids were encouraged to spend time with both parents. So Oscar's parents, they wanted him to spend his kid years and his teenage years like any other kid his age. So they sent him to a mainstream school instead of going to like a school for children with special needs. And it was said from a very young age he developed a passion for sports. So it was said in school that he just threw himself into a variety of activities, from tennis to cricket, soccer, gymnastics, wrestling, you name it. Oscar was all up in it. He would even go on to compete in triathlons, and he would lift weights with his dad. I mean, nothing was stopping this guy. He ended up getting his very first medal in wrestling. I don't know how, but like, again, nothing was stopping this guy. So as a teenager, Oscar attended Pretoria Boys High School. It was an English language boarding school. And when he was here, he found himself in like a whole new world. It was the first time he was living outside of Johannesburg. And while he definitely had to participate or like endure the typical hazing of a boarding school, for the most part, he was largely like accepted by his peers. So Oscar started playing rugby and water polo, very serious sports, especially for someone, like, not trying to be mean, but like he had prosthetic legs, but he was making it freaking work, okay? Nothing was stopping this kid. By this time when he was playing these sports, he was using a much lighter hooked shape prostheses, but these weren't really perfect. They often, I guess they broke a lot, which would cause him a lot of frustration, especially when he was trying to like kick butt, and then it would break on him. Then at the age of 15, Oscar experienced another life-altering event. His mom ended up passing away following like complications from a hysterectomy. Yeah, completely unexpected, and this was devastating to Oscar. His mom was like his rock. She was always there to support him, encourage him. Her death seemed to like just leave a major void, that would never be filled. But Oscar, his life goes on. And in 2003, while playing rugby, he ended up like injuring his knee. At first, he didn't like think it was a big deal, right? And he ended up like finishing the match. But by the next day, it was very clear to him that something was seriously wrong. So this injury that he got, it didn't require surgery, but it did require extensive rehab, which included running and water aerobics. And it was around this time that Oscar started wearing his new prostheses. It's called the cheetah. First of all, I was like, wow, cool. It's a different kind of design. Okay, these were like game changers for him. And they were the ones that he would wear throughout his whole athletic career. It was like this hook shape. I forget what it was made out of, but it wouldn't snap like all the other ones would. And it was just groundbreaking. His first race with the cheetahs was a 100-meter sprint. And he ended up clocking in at 11.72 seconds. Now his dad was like, holy Toledo, he was so impressed. So he started like his dad started looking up times that other people have done this, and he realized that Oscar, his time would actually qualify him for a world record in his Paralympic category. Okay, I look crazy, but just trust the process. So once his dad and Oscar like realized that he was good, he was real good, Oscar was about to take the world by storm. So after this first race, I think Oscar, he had a goal now. He had a goal. So he threw himself into intense training. He ended up qualifying for the 2004 Paralympic Games in Athens, where he ended up winning silver in the 100 meters. He won silver. And then he got gold in the 200 meters. So he set a new world record. Do you know how hard that is to do? Yeah, you know how hard that is to do. Like, what? This guy? He did. He was doing it. He set these new world records. But Oscar was not satisfied. He wanted to compete outside of the disabled races. In 2005, he competed in the South African Championships, and he ended up coming in 6th in the 400 meters. It was like his first race against able-bodied athletes. 6th place, I mean, that's pretty damn good, right? And like, he didn't stop there. By 2007, he was competing internationally, finishing 2nd in the Gold Gala 400 meters race, which was in Rome. But you win some, you lose some. Because he ended up competing in another race in Sheffield where he would end up finishing last. As Oscar's fame grew, so did the scrutiny. People started to question, hey, are his prosthetic legs giving him an unfair advantage? They bounce, feet don't bounce, they're just looking for reasons to pick it apart. In 2007, the International Amateur Athletic Federation, or IAAF, they expanded their rules to ban any, quote, technical device that incorporates springs, wheels, or any other element. Their reason was they believed that it gave the athlete an advantage, essentially. To Oscar and a lot of people, it felt like they were specifically targeting Oscar, his cheetahs, and anything like that. The IAAF, they said it was because there was these new shoes out that had springs in the bottom of them, and they were no, we did this because we want to make sure those shoes don't make it in to the competition. But again, a lot of people thought this seems like it's against Oscar. Oscar, when he heard this, he fought back. He got a team together. He got a team of like scientists together to prove that his prostheses did not give him a unfair advantage. Unfair advantage. So the ruling was essentially overturned, which would allow Oscar to compete. But the controversy really never died down. Like people really thought like it was truly unfair. So despite, the ongoing debate, Oscar made history in 2012 by qualifying for the 400 meters and the 4x400 relay at the Summer Olympics in London. First double amputee to compete in the Olympic Games. Pretty groundbreaking, Now, he didn't win, but his participation in itself, again, was groundbreaking because he was the first double amputee to race in the Olympic Games, right? So Oscar, he had carried the South African flag in the closing ceremony, and then he went on to win gold in the 4x100 meters, and he won silver in the 200 meters at the 2012 Paralympics. So he's kicking ass, okay? Just when it seemed like Oscar Pistorius was on the top of the world, really, his life took a dark and tragic turn. Riva Steenkamp was born in Cape Town, South Africa in 1983. Now, she was stunning. She was beautiful. She was intelligent. She was able to juggle a law degree and be a successful model. Wow, By 2007, she had moved to Johannesburg after being chosen as the face of Avon in South Africa. Avon, the makeup company. So she was now the face of Avon. Now, at this time, her career was on the rise. She had big plans. She even applied to the bar in 2011, hoping, to qualify as a legal advocate by 2013. I guess she and her friend had discussed possibly starting a law firm that would be meant to help abused women. So then, November 2012, Riva and Oscar, they ended up meeting. I guess they met through mutual friends. They were at some kind of car event. They were introduced and they must have just hit it off. Their relationship, it became public pretty quickly. Both at this time were well-known figures in South Africa, and they were good looking, and they just attracted a lot of media attention. By all accounts, they were both deeply in love, and it wouldn't be long. It was months later, their love story comes to a devastating end. Just months later. It's where it gets a little funky right here. So it's Valentine's Day 2013. It's the early morning. Oscar woke up in the middle of the night and he fired 4 shots with a gun, 4 shots through the locked door of his bathroom. Well, let me rephrase that. He shot at the bathroom door, which was locked, and somebody was on the other end. He said that morning, or late at night, he heard a window open, and he believed that there was an intruder, and this intruder had entered the house. So he said that he panicked. He got up out of bed, and he walked on his stumps. He grabbed his gun, and then he fired, thinking he was defending himself from this intruder, right? And he would later say he believed that Riva was sleeping in bed next to him. So according to Oscar, he, came down the hallway towards the bathroom with a gun in hand. He then shouted down the hall to the bathroom for the intruder to flee. Oscar said that he wanted to get between this intruder and Riva, and that he needed to approach this person because Oscar, couldn't run away without his legs. That's when he fired 4 shots from his 9mm pistol. And then Oscar he said he then realized that Riva wasn't in bed. And at that moment, the horrifying truth had dawned on him that he had just shot and killed his girlfriend. So the bathroom door was locked, but behind the door was Riva. Riva was shot in the head, pelvis, in the hand. I guess she died almost instantly. Well, 911 was called, and so the paramedics, they arrived on the scene, but at that point when they showed up, it was too late. Her body was removed around 8:30 a.m. and Oscar Pistorius was taken into custody and was being charged with murder. So details start coming out, and they're just swirling around because people don't know whether like Oscar is telling the truth. Was it really just like this awful accident where he was trying to protect himself and his lover from an intruder? Or had he intentionally killed Riva after a heated argument? Now, according to Oscar, it was like he heard this intruder and he didn't put on his prosthetic legs. He just got up, he grabbed his gun, and he wanted to confront the intruder and protect Riva. So he just like saw that the door was shut, I guess saw that the light was on, and just shot at the door. That was his reasoning. But a lot of people out there are like, dude, the first thing I would do is like look to see if my partner's there. If my partner's not there, then I would assume it was them. If they are there, then I would like act. But you wouldn't just shoot at a door. You would wait for a confrontation. So there's a lot of like, I don't know, dude. I don't know. Like, he's not dumb, but according to Oscar, because he didn't have his prosthetic legs on, it to him was like, I have to shoot this person because I can't run away and I can't defend myself. That was his reasoning. It's like, I don't fucking know, bro. I don't know with this one. So, the media's reporting on this. People were like shocked, stunned. What? Like, they just couldn't wrap their head around this. Who do you believe? So Oscar's ex-girlfriend, gotta love an ex-girlfriend because she's gonna have the truth. Her name was Samantha Taylor. Now, she would later testify that Oscar was quick to anger and that he would often scream at her and her family. She even went on to say that Oscar cheated on her multiple times, and he never went anywhere without his gun. Now, does that make him a murderer? No, but doesn't look good, right? But then she said, this is the ex-girlfriend, she said that there were a couple of times that he had drawn his gun and fired it out of anger on more than one occasion. So I wonder what, this is like a side note and has nothing to do with anything, but I wonder what he was so mad about. Like, he had such a loving mom. Usually, like, when you have a shit mom or something, you like, it kind of, this whole anger thing makes sense. It doesn't make sense, but you get what I'm saying. Like, but he had such a loving mom, so I don't know. What am I getting at? I don't know. It's just like different, So Riva's family was convinced that like the killing was not an accident. And, they weren't the only ones who felt this way. Again, the media was all over this, and the public opinion was divided. Some people truly believed that, like, they saw Oscar as like a tragic figure, a man who he made a terrible mistake in the heat of the moment, trying to protect his home and his loved one. And then others believed that he was like this cold-blooded killer who had finally just like snapped and shown his true colors. So on March 3rd, 2014, Oscar Pistorius, his trial started, and it was at the Pretoria High Court. So the prosecution was arguing that the killing was premeditated. They presented evidence from neighbors. Now, these neighbors said that they heard a domestic squabble around 3 a.m., followed by gunshots. There were some that even said that they heard a woman scream before the gunshots had fired. They heard screaming. Now, Oscar's defense argued that it was actually him screaming, and he was screaming at the intruder to, like, I don't know, stop or something. But Oscar's team was like, yeah, it was him. He was the one screaming. Now, the trial, it was a media sensation. I mean, every detail was scrutinized, every piece of evidence dissected. people just really didn't know what to believe. Prosecutors said that morning, Oscar, he had time to put on his prosthetic legs. And to them, this was showing the court that he was not in a hurry, as he said he was, but rather that he was cool and collected as he went to kill his girlfriend. Now listen, this was like the big debate. If he put on his legs, to them, this meant that it was premeditated. If he didn't put on his prosthetic legs, then that meant he was truly like in a hurry, just like trying to confront the killer or the person who broke in. So they were focusing hard on this part. The defense, they even brought in the bathroom door as evidence to show the angle of the bullet holes. And by these angles, it proved that Oscar was not wearing his prosthetic legs, meaning it was not premeditated. They were arguing that, without his prosthetic legs, he was very vulnerable, and which explained like his panicked response. The prosecution, they also pointed out that Riva had brought her phone with her into the bathroom. Remember, it's like 3 a.m. or something like that. So she brought her phone with her into the bathroom. They believed, or they were saying that she was trying to call someone to like come and pick her up, call someone for help, just call someone. The defense came back and said, she's just a young woman. She's just attached to her phone like everyone else. Like, that's why she brought her phone with her. I don't know how I feel about that one. I'm trying to think about it. Because, like, I get it, like, being attached to your phone and, like, bringing it with you everywhere. But, like, if you got up from sleep, let's say, to go to the bathroom, the first thing, I don't know about you guys, but I know I don't grab my phone if I've woken up from sleep to go to the bathroom. I take my phone if, like, I'm being shady, if I'm trying to low-key call someone or text someone and not get caught. I'll lock myself in the bathroom. I don't do that now, but like I used to, You'd go in the bathroom, lock the door, and be like, fuck. Right? But we don't know. We don't know like what she was doing. But again, Oscar's team, they were like, Oscar and Riva, they had just bought each other presents recently. Remember, it was Valentine's Day. They had just bought each other presents. So they were in a good spot in their relationship. They got presents. And therefore, Oscar did not plan the murder. Presents. That's why. Which might be true. I don't know. The defense countered by saying that Oscar's actions were those of a terrified man. A man who felt he had no choice but to defend himself and his loved one. They argued that Oscar was suffering from generalized anxiety disorder, which made him hypervigilant. There we go. Also prone to panic. Therefore, this is why he reacted the way he did. Side note, my opinion, I don't know. If you are trying to protect your loved one, wouldn't your first response to be like when you heard someone come in, you wake up, you look over, is my loved one there? If they are, and I'm hearing a noise, then I react. If I wake up because I hear something, would your response be to just go and not look? Right? That part doesn't make sense. And then they're saying like, look, just because he didn't have his prosthetic legs on, it meant that it wasn't premeditated. But like, I don't know. Maybe he thought that part through. Maybe he's like, hey, if I don't put on my prosthetic legs, then I can be like, I didn't know. I'm helpless. Just the point of him waking up and reacting and not checking her in the bed, to me, that is suspicious. Okay, that's questionable. And she was in that bathroom with her phone, probably like, fuck, I need to get the fuck out of here. Did anyone look up like what she was searching on her phone? I should have looked that up. I can't remember. I don't remember that being brought up, but too many questions. The prosecution had argued that he knew there was a human being in the bathroom and his intention was to kill that human being. And they were like, look, if Oscar had shot into a cubicle, knowing that there was like a human in this cubicle, then he would be found guilty of murder, right? You can't just like shoot and be reckless about it. And because Oscar had said that he wanted to shoot the intruder and not his girlfriend, does not change the fact that it was murder. He should be punished for murder. That's what they're getting at. His plan was to kill who was ever in the room. The media, the public, everyone was very torn. Very torn. And then sentencing, or the verdict and all that jazz, happened on September 11th, 2014. Judge Chukwuzile Masipa. Did I do that? Okay. Anyways, but this judge, she delivered her verdict. Now, very controversial. She acquitted Oscar of murder, citing that he did not foresee the possibility of someone dying as a result of his actions. You know, many disagreed with that because if you have a gun and you're shooting towards someone or at someone, you think the result might be dying, but whatever. Instead, she found him guilty of, quote, culpable homicide, unquote, or negligent killing. The judge ruled that the prosecution had not proven beyond a reasonable doubt that he had intended to kill Riva or anyone else. Now, this distinction was crucial in determining his sentencing. On October 21st, Oscar was sentenced to 5 years for negligent homicide and an additional 3 years for, I guess, an unrelated gun charge. His team was trying to get the judge to give him like a house arrest, but the judge ruled that he should serve time behind bars to send a message to society. Do you think he was doing steroids and that's why he had such a crazy reaction? Sorry, I just now thought about it. Because usually, you know, sometimes steroids are involved, and when steroids are involved, they get crazy, which would make sense why he was like, would be shooting. I don't know, I'm just trying to think. Again, the public opinion or their reaction to all this was very mixed. Some felt that like justice had been served, and then others believed that the sentence was like, it was too kind. The debate over whether Oscar was a murderer or like a man who just made like a tragic mistake really just continued to rage. So the prosecution, they were not satisfied with the sentence. They were like, hey, this is way too light and completely inappropriate for the circumstances. So then in December 2015, the Supreme Court ended up overturning the conviction and found Oscar guilty of murder. God, I wonder if he was doing steroids. Not that it excuses his behavior, but it would make a lot of sense. Would it? I don't know. Maybe. Anyhow, he's overturned, guilty. The court ruled that Oscar should have like foreseen that firing 4 shots into a small enclosed space like a bathroom would have lethal consequences regardless of who was behind the door. Snaps. That makes sense, right? The appeals court handed the case back to the trial court for resentencing. So in July of 2016, that same judge, Judge Masipa, sentenced Oscar to 6 years in prison for murder. Just 6 years. Just a little sprinkle. I think this judge like had a crush on him or something, because technically this sentence, the 6 years, it was like way below the prescribed minimum of 15 years for murder in South Africa. So again, led to some controversy. People are like, what the fuck is going on right now? Now, the judge said because of Oscar's disability and his apparent remorse, this was the reason for the lighter sentence. Judge, I have a question. Statement maybe. Because like the whole time, Oscar like didn't want to be treated like a man who had a disability. He wanted to be treated like normal. Now's your chance. Treat him like normal. Well, it sounds like it's over, but it's not, because the state wasn't done yet. Prosecutors appealed once more, arguing that the 6-year sentence was shockingly lenient. I mean, it was. In November of 2017, the Supreme Court of Appeal agreed, and they increased Oscar's sentence to 13 years and 5 months. You know, I spent forever curling my hair and it just looks like garbage. What's the point? So then fast forward to November of 2023, 6 years after the Supreme Court of Appeal had handed down its final sentence, it was announced that Oscar Pistorius would be released on parole. Now, the parole board set his release for January 5th, 2024. Now, it said that his parole conditions are strict. He moved in with his uncle in the Pretoria suburb of Waterkloof. There's like a random K in this word. Waterkloof? Waterkloof. Anyways, he moved there. And this, I guess, is like the same place that he was staying during his trial. His parole conditions include attending therapy sessions, anger management programs, and programs on violence against women. He's also required to complete community service hours, meet regularly with parole officers, and be subjected to unannounced visits until the end of his sentence in 2029. Now, Riva Steenkamp's mother, her name's June, she didn't oppose Oscar's release, but expressed concerns about his huge anger issues, is what she said, which she felt hadn't been addressed in prison. I guess she had opted to not attend the parole hearing, saying that she couldn't face him again at this stage. Now, Riva's father, his name was Barry, he had passed away like earlier that year, but before his death, he actually met with Oscar as a part of like the rehabilitation process. We can only imagine what was said. We don't know, you know, but Oscar Pistorius was quietly released on January 5th, 2024. He is not permitted to speak to the media as per his parole conditions, but his lawyer mentioned that Oscar's parole allows him limited time each week to attend work commitments and church. He must also continue his therapy and rehabilitation efforts and just be a real good boy. It's just so different, huh? Like America versus anywhere else, really. Like they actually, he murdered someone, look, real talk. But like, at least they're like, they put you in a bunch of programs and like try and help some kind of way. They do kinda in America, but like not really. Not really. Maybe it's better there. I don't know. I don't think it's better there, but I don't know. What am I getting at? I don't fucking know. What am I even getting at? I don't know. So here we are. Oscar Pistorius is on parole. His career is in ruins. And his life is forever marked by the events of February 14th, 2013. Are we supposed to feel bad? He's the one that picked up the gun. He's the one that shot at the bathroom door. He's the one that got up. He's him. You gotta take some responsibility for yourself there, bud. Okay, you murdered someone. And who like really knows if it was on purpose or not? I think it was. I don't know. I mean, it's really unlikely we will ever know like whether Oscar truly intended to kill Riva. He continues to maintain that it was a tragic accident, saying, quote, "I did take Riva's life and I have to live with it." But regardless of like whether it was a heat of the moment argument, a premeditated act, or like an attempt to protect, horribly gone wrong, the reality remains that Riva Steenkamp was killed at the hands of Oscar Pistorius, period. I mean, it's a tragedy that's left scars, not just on those directly involved, but on everyone who like followed the case, who saw the rise of this amazing guy, right? And then the fall of this global icon. Well, friends, thanks for hanging out with me today. I would love to hear your thoughts, theories, or I don't know, leave a comment down below. Just let me know like what you think. Purpose, not purpose, huh? Doesn't matter. He's out now, you know? At least he still gets to live. Riva does not. She had so much going for her, too. It's such a shame. Fuck. Well, guys, I hope you have a good rest of your day. You make good choices. You be safe out there. And I'll be seeing you guys really soon. Goodbye.